In Washington now, the Biden administration is going to fall short of its 4th of July vaccination goal. The infrastructure deal, though, is back on.
Joining us now with more insight is Washington Post correspondent Tyler Pajer. Thanks for joining us, Tyler.
Thanks so much for having me.
Let's start by talking about that infrastructure package, which was a done deal. Supposedly, Biden came out announcing it. Wonderful, fantastic, $973 billion, I think it was. But then all of a sudden he said, but wait, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sign it until you sign what my Americans, what's it called? My Americans Family Plan. But then he walked that back. The Sunday morning news programs were abuzz. What was that about?
Yeah, quite a chaotic few days from the triumphant celebration of this bipartisan infrastructure deal negotiated over weeks between Democratic and Republican senators in the White House. Then for Biden to celebrate it and have a misstep in the way that he talked about it, to then have to walk it back. And now it seems like it's back on track, but now Biden is facing headwinds from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, who's frustrated by him walking back the comment. So it all just shows the delicate balance that Biden has as he tries to keep a bipartisan group comfortable and happy moving forward in that direction, but also ensure that the left flank of the party, the progressives who are frustrated by his dealings with Republicans, stay on board for both that plan and then this larger, families plan that he wants to pass as well. So quite a balancing act for the president, who has to deal with multiple constituencies and multiple efforts, all aimed at trying to pass this signature infrastructure package. Right now, it seems like he is keeping everything in place, but it just shows you how easy and tenuous it is to break it up.
Let's talk about another topic with the president. He unveiled his crime bill package last week, and even the opinion writers at the Post seem sort of split on the effectiveness, but I think it shows how much cooperation you need to be able to tackle such a big problem in a pandemic and after the murder of George Floyd. What is the mood in Washington on that topic?
Yeah, so the president came out with this plan last week in a speech from the White House, and this is part of an effort from the Biden administration to get out in front of what is always an increase in crime in the summer, and one that experts expect will be even more given, people coming out of the pandemic and the surge in gun sales that we've seen over the past year. And one of the ways that Biden is trying to placate all sides of this crime issue is twofold. One is he's encouraging cities and states to use extra money that they got from the stimulus package to hire more police officers if that's the way that they want to spend that money or deal with a rising crime. At the same, on the other hand, he's also saying if cities and states don't want to use that money to bulk up their police forces, they should use it to fund community anti-violence programs or community policing or other sorts of strategies outside the traditional cops on the street. And so this is a way where he's both saying he's doing the opposite of defunding the police, which has been a criticism from Republicans, even though Biden has never supported that policy. But at the same time, he's urging cities and states to invest in non-traditional policing methods, anti-violence programs or community policing as a way to show he's supportive of police reform efforts. So it's an opportunity to do both of those things with this extra money from the stimulus package earlier in the year.
Well, Tyler, how is the president going to miss his goal of getting all Americans vaccinated, all adult Americans vaccinated, I should say, by July 4th? We're hearing he's not going to make it.
Yeah, so the White House has conceded that it will not make that goal of having over 70% of Americans having at least one dose of the vaccine by the 4th of July. They will get quite close to it, just a few percentage points below that. But this is really the first major goal that Biden has set that he will not meet. Remember, during the transition, he said he wanted to have 100 million shots distributed in the first 100 days of his presidency. He more than doubled that. And this is one where they're going to fall just short. They've said they're going to continue to ramp up the efforts, reaching out to areas where there is vaccine hesitancy, to certain community groups, across the board. We're seeing in pockets of the country, there are people that are not willing to get a vaccine or are worried about getting a vaccine. So they're going to continue to ramp up those efforts and continue to push to get as much of the country vaccinated as possible. But it is a setback for the administration that has had such a successful effort in vaccinating so much of the country to this point.
All right, Tyler Pajer with the Washington Post. Great to get your thoughts tonight. Take care.
Thanks so much for having me.